Shalom.
Shalom, my brother. I always wanted to do one of these podcasts, but I was just patiently listening at each and every one, and it's been so encouraging listening at everybody. I'm glad you put it together, because when you said there's a limited selection of it, I wish I could get on there, and then you started bringing them up again. I said, now it's my opportunity. Let me get a little testimony, if my wife don't mind. We had Passover about 3 weeks ago. We just done it the way best we could. My wife and I had a little issue going on, and things got pretty bad the night before Passover, and I was scared. I was crying. My wife lived out the room crying, and she stayed downstairs, and I stayed in the room, and I kind of cried a little bit while she was up here, but I boo-hooed while she was downstairs, and I couldn't sleep. I sat in the window, looked out the window. I said, Yahuwah, what's going on? I need you to fix this. I don't know what to do. I can't let it go. I need you. I cried all night long. The next night, started cooking, getting stuff ready for preparation for that night, and she came and started helping, and we started talking. And this is what really blessed me. When we was at the table eating that night, I prayed, and I told her, I said, I'm so sorry, and a tear fell in my eye. I was trying to hide it. And the son and the daughter was at the table too. And it started falling even more. I said, things were so bad around here, it shouldn't be like this. I said, I was terrified because Passover's coming, and I didn't want to be caught up or left out, not doing the right thing. I am so sorry if I treated the way I treated you. And I looked at the daughter, I said, I'm sorry. I looked at the son, I said, I'm sorry. And tears just started pouring. And it wasn't embarrassing. It was more like a release. And I noticed how right after that, the whole family just came together, laughing and talking. And it was I just seen the Ruach just come in the midst of us. And it's been wonderful ever since. It's been awesome. And one more thing behind it, it reminds me of when our ancestors was over and they put the blood upon the doorpost. As we got ready to eat, it started storming. The wind was blowing real hard outside. I said, what's that? My wife said, the wind is blowing. I said, don't look out that window, because it was really blowing. And I said, wow, this reminds me of Passover, our ancestors. So later on, the son was fixing to take the trash out. I said, don't go out there. I don't know what's out there. Don't go out there. But it just reminded me of Passover, and that's just a good illustration of what they went through. And I just think the Most High that he always comes through when you least expect. When you don't even think he's coming, he's going to show up. But all we have to do is, the scripture says, wait patiently, I say, on Yahuwah.
You're listening to Fruit Bearers, a living Hebrew production provided by KingdomPreppers.org. I'm your host, Kingdom Prepper. This podcast will focus on the spiritual walk of those of you out there who are living the Israelite lifestyle, whether you were born Hebrew or Gentile. But more than that, it will detail how the faithful have been, or are striving to be, fruit bearers as they walk the path of righteousness toward the kingdom. We turn to our next guest.
My name is Darryl A. I was born in Mobile, Alabama, and raised up there all my life, and had a mother and a father, 3 brothers. There was 4 of us, and we grew up in the church, and that's all we knew was church. And most of the time, my mom, they made us walk to certain services at church just to make us be a part of the services. But as we grew up, we kind of started wandering a little away from church, but eventually found our way back in church. And I remember when I got saved, the Christianity saved back in 85, my relatives, it was a large crowd of relatives, cousins and brothers of us hanging together, and we was despised by a lot of people. In the 80s, I got saved, church saved, Christianity saved. And my brothers and my relatives or cousins, they all rejected me. And I felt just like Joseph when his brothers rejected him. So I think I backslid 3 times. I did backslide 3 times. And as the 3rd time, let's just say, okay, it's not working. I'm 100% yours, God, at the time. And I went to church, and I was hanging with grown, older people. I couldn't find nobody my age. So as time went on, I ran across an old classmate. He was musician. His son had a choir, and I joined the choir. And the first time I seen a lot of people my age, and I enjoyed it. And with all these people. And as time went on a little further, my friend started pastoring, and I followed his ministry. I loved it. It was a nice ministry. But then again, as time went on, things started changing, had ups and downs in the church. And I always was inquisitive about a lot of things. Now that I'm in the truth, back then I looked at things differently, and I kind of questioned different things then. But like I said, I was in Christianity. But fast forward a little further, I remember back in the 90s, our church went to 501c3. I had no idea what that was. The next year, I was supposed to have went to the meeting because I was a deacon in the church, and I wasn't able to go. So, like I said, I never knew what 501c3 was all about. But fast forward a little further, the church had ups and downs, and I kind of got away from the church because I was a hard worker in the church, and I was overworked all the time. And I've got church burned out because my pastor and I was friends. We used to go out all the time, eat, go to movies, do different things together all the time. But lots of time we went out, and it's always dealing with church. We going out to eat dinner or something, but church always found its way in. So I left the church about 3 times because I was church burned out. And the last time I went back, something very drastic happened at the church where the pastor fell, and things was kind of difficult. And one of the other ministers, she was a woman, and she and we kind of kept the people together. I stayed there to keep the men in the church. But things got kind of difficult from there, which I was being shunned. And I'm not going to say anything beyond that, but I was being shunned by somebody in the church, and they wasn't supposed to be there anymore. And the girl that was the pastor of the church, she was taking sides. She was very quiet when it came to that. But when the other person wasn't there, she and I was pretty good. And I found a lot of problems with that. We found a building to worship in. But the building I found, her and the other person, the minister who was taking over, and the other person went and looked at the building. I found another building. They went and looked at that building. So they found a building and told me about it. And they wanted me to go look at that building. But it's like they was shunning me when I do the scripture and do devotion. They amen me, and it was time for me to sit down real quick. So I said it's time for me to leave. So I went and talked to her house and was going to let her know why I was leaving. And the funny thing about it is something that I really can't stand, a boisterous black woman. I can't take it. But anyway, I went to the house and told her, I said, there's somebody in the church that's causing a problem, that the reason why I'm leaving. And she said, why don't you say something? I said, because it's going to start confusion. And she immediately said, won't you stand up and be a man? And the way she said it, she seen the other side of me. I said, what do you mean? I stood up, stand up and be a man. And she seen how furious I was, because she knows that I can't take a boisterous black woman. So she immediately calmed down, and I said, it's best I get out of here. And I left the church. And I was searching, visiting other churches. My mom has a church where she attends, a young white minister, real nice guy. I was going visiting with him at times, and I started questioning things. I started questioning a lot of things because it's just some things wasn't right. And not with that ministry, not with the ministry. But at that particular time, the Most High had me looking. I mean, it was just something that wasn't right. I was looking at videos trying to see who was we as a people. And I was looking up all kinds of African movies, trying to see our history, everything about Africans. And I remember prior to this, my brother had gave me something 3 years prior that I was just holding on my computer. And I started searching that out, and it led me down an area where it was very inquisitive. So I started putting things together, and I started saying, wow, And I started seeing things in the scriptures, and I started listening at the camps on YouTube. And one particular one that everybody knows about is one particular one I was really into them, and I was learning a whole lot. Never knew these scriptures was in the Bible. I said, man, I had no idea. Back up a little bit. Back in 1999, I was manager of a store, and my employees bought me a Bible. Back in 1999, the employees bought me a Bible. And all the way up to 2016, my Bible was still kind of new. Even as a deacon for all those years, I had brand new pages in my Bible. So as I started listening at these camps, teaching different things in the scriptures, and I never knew these things was in the scriptures, I mean, man, look at this. So today, I've been on every page in my Bible where, I mean, it was just exciting. And I started learning a whole lot. But the problem I had is when I read Revelation 13:10 and Isaiah 14:10, where it says, we shall take them possessors whose possessors we were. And I couldn't handle that. I couldn't handle to see white people going into slavery because I have a lot of white friends. I couldn't take it.
It was actually Isaiah 14 verse 2, a verse that is often misunderstood and taken out of context. This speaks to the millennial kingdom, which will comprise true Israel and the Gentile nations under their rule, per Daniel 7 verse 18 and many other verses. And that rulership will be according to Torah, not the oppressive ways of secular governments.
I backed away from the scriptures of also the studying. I backed away 6 times because I just couldn't handle what I was seeing. I pushed away, so I understand why people push away, because it's something that they don't want.
To listen to the full audio of this podcast or to download a free MP3 version, visit our website, kingdompreppers.org, by clicking the link in the description. And if you're striving to bear fruit for Yah and would like to be featured in a future podcast episode, write us through the site using the contact form at the bottom of the Live in Hebrew section and request a Fruit Bearers interview.